If your dog walks erratically on the leash, like left, right, or pulls or whatever, just doesn't have basic leash manners, there's actually quite a simple little game you can play or a task you can play to try to address this. In this video, I'm working with Helga. If you watch the other Helga video, we worked on her reactivity, so go check that out after or before, whatever. But in this video, we're working on her leash manners. Now, there's actually a few ways to approach leash manners, and I actually have a lot of videos on my channel, so definitely go check them out. But in this video, I'm focusing on the approach I like to call just like checking in / like the tree method, I think it's called, where you just stand still. I'll go over that in a second. But for some background, Helga is this adorable, so adorable rescue dog from Bulgaria, and she definitely has a hard time walking on the leash, and it stems from being overexcited. She loves being outside. You know, you can see as soon as they open the door to their house that she's so excited to go outside. She loves sticks, she loves birds, she loves playing with dogs. So like everything is just so fun for her, and that makes her ability to walk nicely on the leash really hard. And the reason they want to address this is because, you know, it's not safe to be walking left, right on a walk, pulling the whole time, especially if you live in a city like she does. So we're going to be working on this method again that is technically, I think, called the tree method, but also you could call it the check-in method. We started off the session with, like I always do, an exercise session where she's able to let out all her excess energy. This is so important when we're teaching leash manners for a dog that likes to pull, because a dog that likes to pull clearly has the physical and even the mental energy to be pulling the whole time and to be walking erratically. So that's why we want to set ourselves up for success, set the dog up for success by letting them expel that excess energy with like zoomies. So that's why we started the session with like a 10-minute sprinting around this open field session, and Helga was able to kind of get out her extra energy. So how to work on this is quite simple. You basically want to start walking normally with your dog, but as soon as they reach the end of the leash, so as soon as the tension builds, you just stop right in place. And then there's two options. You either wait for your dog to look at you, because a lot of dogs will, as soon as you stop, will just turn around to look at you. As soon as they turn around to look at you, you're gonna click and reward. And you're gonna reward the dog right next to you. So you're gonna have to lure the dog, or maybe they'll come to you as soon as they hear the click anyway. But you wanna lure the dog and ideally actually reward them a slightly behind you. This is just to get them back into position to kind of set them up for success for the next time. But anyways, if they don't look back at you when you stop, because some dogs, again, like Helga, sometimes are too excited by the environment that they don't even notice that you stopped walking. They're just gonna keep staring at their external environment. If that's the case, then just simply say their name once. If they don't respond again, wait a few seconds, try it again. But either way, do something to get their attention. You can also make a weird sound if you want to. And then as soon as they look at you, again, click reward a little bit behind you. Now what this does is simply just reset I like to call it a repetition, because this is going to take a lot of repetitions. And it's going to basically start again from the ideal starting point, which, you know, a dog ideally, I guess, should walk either next to you or slightly in front of you, slightly behind you, doesn't matter, just in your very close radius. So we want to set her up for success by putting her a little bit behind us, especially because we know that she already has a very fast walking pace. So that's why we want to set her up for success, lure her maybe a little bit back, and reward her next to us or slightly behind us. Then we're going to start again. We're going to start walking, and as soon as, again, she reaches the end of the leash, we have to stop, get her attention, or maybe wait for her attention, and again, click as soon as she looks at us and reward her back here. What this also does, though, is that one, it creates the association and the knowledge in her mind that she gets rewards when she walks or is in close proximity to us, especially next to or behind us. But second, it also punishes, quote unquote, the idea of pulling on a leash. Now, you know, if you watch any of my videos, that I'm super anti-physical punishment, right? But this is an awesome example of negative punishment that doesn't inflict fear or pain, because with a dog like Helga who likes to pull, or any dog that likes to pull, what they want is to keep walking forward. We know that by the way they're walking so fast and by the way they're so excited. So when they're doing something that we don't want them to do, like pulling on the leash, we have to take away that reward, self-fulfilling reward of progressing forward. That's why we're stopping in our place and we're not yanking them back, because yanking them back would again inflict fear, inflict pain, either one. But by stopping, you are successfully able to punish them, again, quote unquote, with negative punishment, which is the act of taking away something good to teach a dog not to do something without, inflicting fear or pain. And in this case, by stopping, they're unable to continue walking forward. So a great way of negative punishment. But then, like with any successful dog training, you're going to need positive reinforcement. And that's why we want to click when they look at us. So click for engagement and reward them back in a desirable position. So this method really has everything, negative punishment, positive reinforcement, setting them up for success. I find it works so well for most dogs that I train. Of course, there's some dogs that don't respond to this method. That's why I have a few methods that I discuss in my channel. But in the case of Helga, we already saw progress in this one session after working on this for only like 10-20 minutes, because we were also working on reactivity in this session. But basically, as you can see, the more times you do it, and it's definitely frustrating to have to do this every time, but trust me, it's worth it. The more times you do it, you see that Helga's actually anticipating getting rewarded next to me. So she's actually checking in with me before even reaching the end of her leash. And that is a great opportunity for me, you, whoever's training, to again click and reward. So if your dog, once you reward your dog after they've pulled, and you let them go free again, and they go immediately to the end of their leash again, you have to stop, reward them back, blah, blah, blah. However, as that keeps progressing, and with some dogs it takes, just 5 repetitions, some dogs it takes 20, but as they keep progressing, once they get rewarded after pulling next to you and you let them free, a lot of dogs, like you see with Helga, will actually not run to the end of their leash again and rather stay close to me and keep maintaining eye contact because she's anticipating a reward. And this is exactly what we want. And this is exactly the perfect opportunity to click and reward preemptively before she does something wrong. Because we all know the best time to train a dog and reinforce a behavior is before they do what we don't want them to do and while they're doing what we want them to do. And again, just like with any training, we really want to be generous at the beginning with the rewards of walking next to us. So as you can see with Helga, I'm honestly giving her so many treats every few steps, and it seems excessive, but this is when we really want to front load on those rewards to really establish that good behavior. Because then as you get further, you can slowly start to fade away the treats, slowly start to increase the duration between treats. But at the beginning, since she doesn't know what good leash walking is, she was never taught, she doesn't know what it's supposed to be. That's why I really want to make it clear to her what gets to the rewards, and also make it clear that when she pulls, we're going to have to take a breath and go back to the beginning. So Helga's parents brought up 2 interesting points. One was, or a few interesting points, I don't know if it was just 2, but let me go over them. The first one was, do they have to do this on every single walk? Like, this doesn't seem very good exercise, whatever, very sustainable. And that was such a good question, because the answer is no, you do not have to do this on every single walk. What I like to recommend is allocating one specific walk every single day that's only, let's say, 10 minutes, focused just on leash manners. The other walks of the day can be normal. What I recommend personally is to use a different leash for when you have your normal walks when they're allowed to pull. That way your dog is able to start learning that, okay, when I'm on this leash, I gotta be good on the leash. But when I'm on, let's say, a super long leash, I'm able to have a little bit more freedom. Now, during your normal walks, you could still incorporate good leash manners by rewarding them for being on a loose leash, but it's not as strict and structured as, again, like a training walk. Another really good point they had was, would it be possible for Helga to learn, or for a dog to learn, that this leash means this, that leash means freedom, that leash means no pulling, blah, blah, blah. And absolutely it is. This is actually how a lot of service dogs work. Like, certain harnesses signal to a service dog that they're on the job, and then as soon as it comes off, they're free. And this is actually how it can work with leashes as well. And that's how I trained my own dog, Mochi. I will say some dogs, I don't know if it's based on intelligence or just like the dog specifically, I will say some dogs have a hard time differentiating, which leash means what, but it is possible. So with Helga, I recommended that this leash that we're using in this video, in this training session, should be her no pulling leash, because it's a nice length. It's not too short, it's not too long. But then they also have a super long, like a 10-20 meter leash, and that one can be the fun leash where she could pull a little. She also has a ton of freedom because it's so long, and dogs are able to contextualize that, because dogs are super contextual creatures. So again, with my dog, we have 3 leashes. So I have blue leash is what we call it. That's the one where he can't pull at all, and he walks so well on that. He's always loose leash walking, like almost right next to me the whole time. Then we have red leash, which is our super long 30-meter leash or something. That's where he is able to, kind of do whatever he wants, because he doesn't go far anyway. So I kind of let him drag that leash, and he knows. And then we also use a flexi leash, which again is a good point Helga's mom brought up, where she mentioned that she thought flexi leashes were bad. That's definitely a good point, and I would recommend that when your dog is leash training, to not use a flexi leash at that point when they don't have any leash manners, because that would defeat the whole purpose, because a flexi leash is always tense, always has tension. Obviously, that's how it works. So then it doesn't make sense if you're trying to train a dog not to pull, because you're going to communicate when they're pulling through the tension of the leash. However, when your dog is leash trained, again, like my dog, a flexi leash is a great alternative to being off leash, because you're able to still comply by leash laws, still keep every dog safe. You know, I hate off leash dogs unless it's an off leash area. So we're able to keep that safety, and your dog is able to have that freedom. But again, flexi leashes are something we want to introduce once your dog is fully trained, and once your dog is able to contextualize, this leash is this leash is that. To close up the training session, we went back to Helga's house. She lives on this super cool houseboat. And so we were able to let her off leash when we got on the dock because there's no one there. And again, as you can see, I closed off the session by still rewarding her for walking next to me. And it was actually amazing. Helga's mom also mentioned that, you know, she could see Helga doing so much better because Helga was walking the whole time right next to me, anticipating those treats. So she gave me so many opportunities for me to positively reinforce that amazing walking next to me. She's not even on the leash and she's walking close. Again, more opportunities to reward such good behavior. When in doubt, if your dog is doing something good, reward them. One thing you might think is, okay, but when she has no treats, is she still gonna walk like that? Because it looks like she's just staring at my treats. And you're absolutely right. In this session, and probably in the next few sessions, she is doing it only for the treat. However, this is not a problem. This is just how dog training works. This is just how positive reinforcement works. Just like you wouldn't work a corporate job for $0, you would need a salary. A dog doesn't want to do something unless they get paid for it. So the treats are just a form of reward and payment, but it's also, as you're doing this every single time, you're also building a habit, a behavior that your dog will continue to do even once you start phasing out treats. Now, I will say it's never a good idea to completely phase out treats. So just because Helga starts walking perfectly doesn't mean you could throw out all your treats and, you know, she walks perfectly for the rest of her life. However, it does mean that when Helga gets better at leash walking, you can maybe just keep treats on you every other walk or every 3 walks, every 4 walks. It doesn't matter. It depends on the dog. But even like professional studies show that dogs operate, or I think all animals, using positive reinforcement work the best when you actually implement a lottery system. So basically, instead of rewarding every single trick or every single command, whatever you're asking of them, if you start fading it out and then giving it to them on a random basis, so like every 3 tricks and then every 6 tricks, every 7, whatever, that actually keeps them more motivated in the long term after your dog has learned the behavior. So not at the beginning. The beginning, you want to reinforce every single repetition, every single opportunity. But as they've perfected it, the lottery system, so again, that randomized rewarding, actually works really well to sustain that behavior long term. So no, you don't have to carry treats for the rest of your life and treat your dog every 2 seconds just for walking next to you. In case you missed it, check out the other video I did with Helga where we worked on her selective reactivity. And don't forget to subscribe for more real life dog training sessions.